If you are a lover of music, you will not want to miss any of this, because it will be a weekly program for now, possibly for a very long time, as God will help us, so that you can be able to grow up musically as you have ever desired to be. Stay with me and God bless you. Amen. Good to see you, friends out there today. Welcome to Music Fundamentals class with Wuraola Osagiede. Today we'll be going on the topic staff. But let's have a quick review of what we have done in the past few weeks. We began with table with a note, and then signs and symbols, table of note values. We went on to time reading, and the last class we did for the past 2 weeks on time signatures, wherein we talk about the number of beats in a bar and the kind of notes that bears a count. Today we'll be moving on to the topic staff, as mentioned earlier. What is a staff? A staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. When you have your 5 lines and 4 spaces, you are dealing with staff in music. And staff is, let me say that a staff is that template wherein your music, your notes are being constructed for reading or for playing for whoever wants to use it. So I have my 5 lines. And 4 spaces. Remember this sign, our treble clef. So if I place my treble clef on the staff, it becomes a treble staff. This is a treble staff. We also have a bass staff. It becomes a bass staff when I have my bass clef on the staff. Don't forget, your staff is 5 lines and 4 spaces. So this is called a treble clef, and this is called a bass clef. It can also be referred to as a G clef, and this can also be referred to as F clef. I will tell us why we have that as another name for it. When the two are braced together, it is referred to as the great staff. The great staff. Okay. In between the treble clef and the bass clef, we have what we refer to as a ledger line or imaginary line. It's occupied by a ledger line or imaginary line. Each line and each space of a staff has its name, and naming begins from the bottom of the staff. This is line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Space 1, space 2, space 3, space 4. Same applies to the bass clef. I have my line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, space 1, space 2, space 3, and space 4. How do we get name for our spaces and lines in the staff? Music employs the first 7 alphabets in English language to give name to the staff, as well as other things that we're giving names to. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. These are the 7 alphabets being used in music when it comes to giving names. And as I mentioned before, we have a ledger line or imaginary line in between the treble clef, treble staff, and the bass staff. Actually, this one divides the staff into 2, and this line is occupied by the letter C, and it's called the middle C. Middle C. It is called middle C because it's at the middle of the staff. So from here, we will be able to give names to the treble staff as well as the bass staff using the first 7 alphabets already shown here. So class, if I have my middle C at the center, before the first line of the treble clef, I have a space. So we don't just jump to the first line, you must give name to that space before you reach the line. And look at our alphabet. If I'm reading upward, after my letter C, I have my D. So letter D comes before the first line of the treble clef. And after letter D, we have letter E. After E is letter F, followed by G, we have our A. After G, sorry, we go back to A. So it moves in this circle of, let's say, circle of seventh. After the letter G, you come back to A like that. I have my letter A, I have my B, you have your C at the third space, I have D, E at the fourth space, and F at the fifth line. Actually, it goes on. We have other ledger lines. No, it depends on the instruments you are playing, and then the letter continues upward. So, for our bass clef, we also have, just behind the letter C is letter B. So letter B comes before the fifth line of the bass clef. Then we have, behind letter B is letter A, behind A is G, behind G is F, behind F is E, behind E is D, behind D is C, we have B, we have A, and we have G. So these are the names of the lines and spaces, both in treble clef and in bass clef. Before I will go on, I refer to this as treble clef or G clef, and I say we'll get to know the reason why it is called like that. If you look at this is resting on the second line, which is occupied by letter G. So that is the reason why it is also named after G. So it is G clef. And coming to your bass clef, which is also referred to as F clef, you have this dark point resting on the fourth line, which is occupied by letter F. So you can also refer to it as F clef, and this is G clef. So these are the names of the lines and spaces that we must know. And this one will give us a clue or a cue into our key signature, but then we'll get there. So before we run out today, let me briefly bring out the names of lines and spaces of treble clef, as well as names and lines and spaces of bass clef. Let me begin with treble clef. Treble clef. The lines are E, G, B, D, F, and the spaces are F, A, C, E. And someone from an acronym for this. You can have your every good boy deserves favor. And this already gives us a meaning. Your face, is the name of the spaces of a treble clef. We come to the bass clef, and we have the lines. We have G, B, D, F, A, and then the spaces we have A, C, E, G. So an acronym says you can have good boys deserves favor always. I think that makes sense. And the spaces we have all cows eat grass. Do they really eat grass? I don't know, but it makes sense. All cows eat grass. So let's not forget, if you are maybe for whatever reason, your music, you're having something beginning on G. That means that is the note is on G. It could be on O, it could be on anywhere, on any space. My fourth space in treble clef is called E. It's occupied by E. My first line in treble clef is occupied by E also. My third line in treble clef is B. My third line in bass clef is D. So these are what we should know about the staff, both treble staff and the bass staff. Don't forget, friends out there, keep learning, and any moment you have a question, you can private chat me or drop your comments, drop your request at the comment section. Surely I will reach out to you. Keep learning and keep growing. See you again next week. God bless you.